Minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey there, how you doing? Welcome to the program, actually the last program of the week. It is the 13th of July, a dreary Friday at that. I'm Lynn Cullen, all on my own today, with just my thoughts rattling around in my head. Feel free to join me, either on the phone at 412-316-3381, or you can always email me at Lynn, L-Y-N-N, at pghcitypaper.com, okay? Especially curious to hear from Penn State alums. How you're doing, how you're handling this. Unlike a lot of people, I don't have like an emotional connection to my college. I went to two. I went to Northwestern. I went to the University of Wisconsin. You know, I had a fine time at both, but I never had this kind of emotional connection. And I know that at Penn State that certainly isn't the case, and because you see evidence of it constantly of people's this was the best years of their life. They still wear paraffin. You know, 50 years later they're wearing paraphernalia. It frankly strikes me as a little odd, but that's fine. I read recently that the music you are listening to in your late teens and early 20s is the music that will forever be your touchstone throughout your life. And there's a reason for that. It has to do with brain development at that point. And I don't know many people for whom that period in their life that the music is not what they feel most comfortable with. It's the period where you learn the words to all the songs. Anyway, that would be the same period where you would be in college, and I just think that for many people, the imprint of that experience is not unlike this music thing that goes on, where our brain sops it up at that stage in its development and puts that down as sort of the template, or that's the touchstone. That's what I'm drawn to. That's what I love. And I guess that makes sense, too, because that's the point at which you're trying to figure out who the hell you are and trying to define yourself. And an institution, a community that you belong to, a college, would be part of maybe that process of identification and self-definition. And I guess music, too, would be. So I'm just blathering, but I'm asking if any of you, this would be hard, because all of the adjectives that have been applied to headlines about the Free Report yesterday, I mean, put them all together, and it's scathing. I would think scathing is one of the adjectives we've seen. Scathing, damning, Give me some others. Here's damn. Dams. It's ugly. It's ugly. And what's called the tarnishing of Joe Paterno's legacy. A lot of people wrestling with that one. The woman who now heads the Board of Trustees saying that, speaking of his legacy now and what has happened to his legacy, is a sensitive subject. Yeah, to say the least. As you know, the head of Nike, who spoke so movingly at Paterno's funeral, Phil Knight, he has now had Joe Paterno's name taken off of the child care center at the Nike campus in Oregon. So there was Phil Knight, not too many months ago, standing and extolling in a very emotional way the virtues of the mythological Joe Paterno. And now, yanking his name summarily, just seconds after the Free Report comes out, off a building. And not coincidentally, a child care center that he had founded in Oregon and named after Paterno. Here's a tweet that popped up on my little Twitter account. I was reading on the bus coming in. Guy named Gabe Whitmer tweets, "Forget what everyone says. JoePa is still the greatest person ever. Hashtag we are Penn State." Now, I would suggest that this guy is in a rather clear state of denial. Quite clearly, JoePa is not the greatest person ever. Quite clearly. And he's not what we thought he was. He was an imperfect man. And in the case of the abuse of these boys, so many of them abused in the kingdom that was run by Joe Paterno. And now we know that he had much greater knowledge of what Sandusky had been doing than he had let on. And if he hadn't had the good fortune to die soon after Sandusky's arrest, he could well be facing perjury charges. Joe Paterno could well be in jail. So forget what everyone says. JoePa is still the greatest person ever. No, not. And you see, the inability to come to terms with that is a problem. Okay, so what's supposed to happen now? The NCAA and the Big Ten Conference, both of whom are associated with, of course, Penn State and its football program, have yet to be heard from. The NCAA has come down hard on cases of corruption, violation of rules, suspending whole programs for as much as a year or more, preventing teams from going to bowl games, whatever. So what's going to happen here with the NCAA? The Post-Gazette editorial today says this. Penn State should suspend its football program until the university has sufficiently regained its perspective and reset its priorities. Football, in fact, all sport, must be secondary at a credible institution of higher learning. This case is only the latest and certainly the most tragic example of what happens when a sport rules a major university. The most powerful men at Penn State, its legendary football coach included, failed miserably to protect children and to protect the university's reputation, which of course they thought they were doing. Engaging in an unconscionable cover-up. Regaining the public's trust won't be easy, and figuring out how to do it is a lot more important than deciding what's to become of some coach's statue outside the football stadium. Okay. They say that Penn State should voluntarily say, we ain't playing football till we get our heads on right. I think the odds of that happening are not great. Editorial, USA Today, sports page. Headline, program must be shut down now. Early in his damning report on the reprehensible, that's another adjective, behavior of Joe Paterno. This op-ed piece says shut down the program at least for a year, perhaps longer, but right now. Shut it down. Everyone in the Penn State community needs to stop thinking about the game and start thinking about the awful things that happened at the school because of it. If Penn State doesn't do the right thing and immediately shut down the program itself, the NCAA should step in and do it, perhaps in concert with the Big Ten Conference. This is an extraordinarily awful incident. What happened at Penn State is the worst scandal to ever occur in an athletic department at a U.S. university. It must be treated as such. Southern Methodist football program received the so-called death penalty decades ago for sports-related improprieties. This is worse. Far worse. Penn State and the NCAA should allow players to immediately transfer to other schools and play this fall, if they wish to. And if they wish to stay, they would retain their current eligibility when the football program resumes. Paterno should be seen first and foremost as the willing enabler of a convicted child molester and never be held in high esteem at Penn State or around the country again. The statue of him on Penn State's campus should come down today. He won a lot of football games. He graduated a lot of football players. But his reputation is ruined, and there is no one to blame for that but Joe Paterno himself. Strong words, commentary, USA Today, sports section. Now, Paterno's family, of course, was in damage control mode yesterday. And they put out a statement that said, in part, the idea that any sane, responsible adult would knowingly cover up for a child predator is impossible to accept. Stop and think about that. We talk a lot here about willful ignorance and sort of delusional thinking when reality is little more than we can bear? Well, that statement is evidence that that's where the Paterno family is. They simply won't believe it because they can't. The idea that any sane, responsible adult would knowingly cover up for a child predator is impossible to accept. But here you see, they're refusing to accept the reality of the report. Because as far as any of us know, Joe Paterno was sane and responsible in many ways. Graham Spanier was sane and responsible. Tim Curley, sane. Gary Schultz, sane. So the statement put out by the spinmeisters in the Paterno family is nonsense. No, the whole point of the Free Report is that men who had great responsibilities and who were considered very sane, extraordinarily capable, that they did knowingly cover up for a child predator. And whether it is impossible to accept does not mean that it is not true. It's only impossible to accept if you refuse to accept reality, which, as I've said, there seems to be more of that around these days than I've ever noticed before. Maybe it's always been there, refusal to accept reality. And so Paterno's family has come to the conclusion, using their words, is that apparently many people, read Paterno, didn't fully understand what was happening and underestimated or misinterpreted events. So they're falling back on he was a sweet, naive, sweet, naive man. He didn't quite comprehend what was going on, which of course is bull. He comprehended only too well. And his reaction was one of immediate protection, not of the children, but protection of his kingdom. And that was the reaction of all of these men who stand besmirched. Front page news in every newspaper in this country besmirched. Nothing like it ever. Can you imagine, given this report, can you imagine? And it wouldn't be too long from now. When do the first college football games start up? Maybe even in August. They certainly start practicing. Yeah. Okay. Can you quite imagine the football team in its blue and white prancing out into the stadium and everybody acting like nothing happened? I mean, how do you do a report like this and then just go ahead as like it was a regular season opener? How do you do that? I'm serious. How do you do that, guys? Not very comfortably, I'll tell you. And the reason you can't do it comfortably is because you shouldn't be doing it. Well, it'll be curious to see how Penn State responds. A number of people are calling for all of the board that was any members of the board that are on the board, that were on the board during this whole thing, that they should step down. In other words, just clean house. Just clean it out, including the football program, and start over and really try to get it right this time. And getting it right would have to do with, yes, power and priorities. A quote that I had not seen in other reporting is a quote from the campus police chief, one Thomas Harmon. And he gets called into this mess, investigating the mother's complaint that Sandusky had showered with her kid and abused him, right? And here's what he reports back to his superiors. We're going to hold off on making any crime log entry. At this point in time, I can justify that decision because of the lack of clear evidence of a crime. Okay, so here's even their police chief knowing that he's got to make this disappear. He's not even putting it in the crime log. And he's telling anybody who's going to listen to him, including himself, that I can justify this. I mean, if you're writing such things, if you're telling yourself and anyone else that you can justify what it is you are doing, you're defensive. Right away. And I can justify this. I can justify the fact that I am not in any way putting down this distraught mother's charge. Not. Think of the boys that would not have suffered the assaults of Jerry Sandusky if these good men had acted responsibly. The fact is, they enabled Sandusky, flat out, unbelievably enabled him. Not only, I mean, when they knew he was a serial abuser. They actually gave him a compensation package unlike any that anyone who knows how it operates there had ever heard of. He got a special designation as he retired, as emeritus. He was given privileges, access to any facility he wanted. He was given $168,000 in a bag as he walked out. They all knew what he was. And they let him keep bringing children into their facilities for the purpose of molestation. Amazing. The New York Times ends one of its pieces with this. This is a sock in the gut. On a wall near the statue of Paterno is a quote from Joe Paterno. And here it is. They ask me what I'd like written about me when I'm gone. I hope they write, I made Penn State a better place. Not just that I was a good football coach. Well, sorry, Joe. That ain't what is going to be written. What's going to be written is that you were just a good football coach. We'll take a break.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Pick up this week's Pittsburgh City Paper for our annual City Guide magazine, the definitive publication on the Burgh. Vote now in Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll and register to win a new iPad. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
Gustavo and Vela wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vela usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvela@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn@pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Okay. Well, I don't know what else is going on. What else is going on? Nothing.
Friday the 13th.
It's Friday the 13th? Oh, it is. I said it was Friday. I said it was July 13th, but somehow that did not compute. You know the odd thing about the elevators in this building? Listen to this, and no one's ever explained it to me. You know how in some buildings, especially buildings that are apartment buildings where people live, they don't count a 13th floor, there actually is, of course, a 13th floor, but they call it 14. For, obvious, again, this is magical thinking, this is delusional, silly, superstitious claptrap. It just shows the extent to which our brains can, perform cartwheels. You're living on the 13th floor, but you call it 14, and then you feel okay. I just picked out a seat for a future airplane ride the other day, 13F. It was available. And I think often the 13th row is available because people don't want to sit there. It's absurd. It's absurd. So anyway, in this building, here's what's odd. And the first time I noticed it, might have been the first time I was in the elevator, I thought, what? Okay. Our building, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We've got a 13th floor. So people... And then there's this odd thing that after 13 comes 15. Now, explain that. So, what? The 13th floor is really the 13th, but every floor above it has been inflated once. So even though we think we're on the 21st floor, Jess, we're on the 22nd, right? Or does it go the other way?
No. Yeah. No.
Oh, God. See, Jess and my brain both work in the same manner. No, so the 14th floor is really the 13th. The 15th is really the 14th. So it goes down one. We're really on the 20th floor. Yes.
Yes.
But why? Why would somebody do that? Why would there be no... we know the absurd reason there supposedly is in the 13th floor. But what in the name of God could be the reason that there's not a 14th floor? There is a 13th and not a 14th. I don't know. It's curious. So there was a woman on the bus, who talked too loud. What is it with people who can't modulate their voices? Who's saying that? Me? Well, I can modulate. I mean, I ride my voice, but this is a person who, just in saying hello, says it too loudly. What? Do you think there's some, hello, so how you doing? Just screaming. And why is it that the people who talk way too loudly so that you cannot help but hear what it is they are saying are always saying things that are so confoundingly stupid and of no interest to you, but you cannot avoid them? Why is it? There couldn't be some interesting person speaking loudly that you would at least benefit from listening to their ruminations? This woman was treating everyone on the bus to the reality that if it's a brown liquid, I can drink it. No problem at all. I can put back brown liquor. But if it's a clear liquor, I can't do it. Oh, my God, do I get sick. Oh, my. So we're all sitting there, all of us, on the bus, imagining this loudmouth woman sick on vodka or gin. I don't know. God. Then we find out I'm a nut about nail files. Shut up! That's what I wanted to say, but I usually you also equate these loud people with being like slightly deranged, and so you worry about taking them on. I just wanted to say, please, dear God, shut up. I always have at least 2 or 3 in my purse at all times. I have just got to be filing my nails. I am sitting here desperately trying to read and realizing I'm on the same sentence for like the last 6 miles. Then I look up and it turns out, what's she doing? She's filing her nails. And she's handed a file to her friend. They're both filing their nails. She's standing over an uncomfortable-looking young black man. And he's looking like he wants to die. And I don't blame. He's got these 2 women filing their nails on top of him, essentially. And squawking and screaming and, oh, God. And this is why people like to drive alone in their cars. That's one of the reasons. On the other hand, it can be entertaining. I was on the bus with a Pitt professor the other day, and she was telling me that a colleague was writing a book about interactions on public transportation. And I think that's a good book because stuff happens. Yeah, that's a good book. Because and she had, the woman who's going to be writing this had sent out an email asking anyone on the receiving end if they had any, good stories about something that had happened to them or that they had witnessed on the bus. It's interesting. Okay. I'm avoiding talking about anything. Okay, here's one of the reasons I cannot stand, people who are always sort of on top of things, the latest. Oh, the latest this, the latest that, the latest drink, the latest fashions, the latest styles. It's also superficial. It's also stupid. And the New York Times has, like big style sections where you're supposed to ogle and oogle and, and I guess envy all these younger, better-looking people with great hair and who are undergoing. This is where I found the other day people undergoing the nightingale poop facials. For unbelievable amounts of money, a Japanese nightingale will poop for you, and it will be made into a paste that is then applied to your face at a very, very posh spa in Manhattan. You think it's easy being rich? No. You want nightingale poop all over your face? This is what rich women have to do to get that certain glow. Ray is chiming in on what the elevator numerals might mean. Ray says, as an industrial contractor. Oh, we didn't know you were an industrial contractor, Ray. As an industrial contractor, I think one explanation of the elevator numbering may be, he's right. I know you're right, Ray. Maybe that the 14th floor is a mechanical support floor. That's where all the heating and the cooling and the electrical and fire protection, yada, 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 that is accessible only by freight elevator. Test this, he says, by using the stairs between 13 and 15 to see if there's a no access door, that you can't get in there. I absolutely think you're right. And even if you look at the building from outside, where the 14th floor is supposed to be, it looks different even from the outside. It's got like vents and things. Have you ever noticed that? That's actually the 14th floor. Ray, you're such a smart cookie. That is definitely the explanation. But you have to admit, they could have done that on the 13th floor and not had a 13, right? Just like everybody else. But no, they had to go have a 14th, thus starting how many possible elevator conversations between perfect strangers in this building. Somebody, I know I noted it once to a stranger in the elevator. And I'm hardly alone there, I'm sure. Okay, so back to styles. Besides nightingale poop, and I don't know where I'd be if it weren't for the New York Times keeping me up on this kind of thing. It turns out that one of the hottest bonding experiences that is now all the rage in the financial sector, those are the guys we love to hate, is, get this, group cleansing. Now, do we know what cleansing is? Jess? Jess, do you know what cleansing is?
What kind of cleansing?
Yeah, Jess is nervously inquiring what kind of cleansing. Because, I mean, you're thinking, what? They get facial cleansing?
Or the detox.
Detox cleansing. In other words, internal cleansing. Yes, cleansing of one's pipes. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. So, I've never worked in the kind of corporate environment that subjects the poor folks in it to these group exercises, you know, where you go off for a weekend together and you know, rappel down mountains or, you know, trust each other that, you know, you can fall back and you'll be supported by your colleagues. You know, all these sort of trusting little scream therapy and all this kind of crap that's meant to, like, bind workers together so that they can be more productive on the job. Well, the thing that's all the rage now is, get this, group cleanses. What they do is for 1 to 5 days, everyone in your office drinks only liquid diets that are specifically meant to wash you out. And it says, this is emerging as one of the latest and most popular ways to solidify corporate bonds. Now, they don't mean the kind of corporate bonds you might hold, the corporate bonds of worker to worker. It's all the rage on Wall Street. Yes, indeedy. And wherever the financial industry is, they're getting, the people who supply these horrible drinks are just making out like bandits. And that means in Chicago, in Dallas, in Houston. I wonder if we, the rubes here in Pittsburgh, I wonder if anybody downtown here in any of the corporate offices have done a group cleanse. They have at Merrill Lynch in New York. Oh, jeez. I hate these guys. At the Carlyle Group, at Citigroup. Yes, yes, yes. Meanwhile, what do doctors say about this? Doctors say what you'd expect them to say. This is such hooey. Your body does not need to be cleansed internally. You have this amazing machine, your body, and it has organs. And the sole purpose of those organs is to detoxify the body. And you know what? They work really well. That's what your liver does. That's what your kidneys do. And there is no science whatsoever, sorry guys, no science whatsoever to back up this drinking this crap and then running to the bathroom 500,000 times and then being somehow healthier. Obviously, I think some people do it just to lose weight. That's my guess. And they're kidding themselves if they think it's for anything else. And just so you know how hot this is, last year, Oprah Winfrey's entire production staff completed a 3-day cleanse. Salma Hayek, the actress, is big in this area. So is Gwyneth Paltrow. And they've been selling various kinds of crap. The most popular flavor, by the way, listen to this, pineapple apple mint juice. Does that sound good? Pineapple apple mint? Sounds a heck of a lot better than, what was this one that I read that it's green? They're often green. I don't like drinking anything green. But it's made up mostly of kale. Well, now, I don't want to drink kale juice. Anyway, cleansing from cubicle to cubicle, bringing a new definition to the term corporate bonds. All right. I think I'll take my break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to BergBargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. During the month of July, spend $50 on Berg Bargains merchandise and receive a $10 gift certificate to Buca di Beppo. BergBargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. BergBargains.com.
You in the City and Hosanna House Summer Nights present Jazz Under the Stars, starring Najee, Friday, July 13th, 8 p.m. at the Sherwood Event Center in Wilkinsburg. Tickets available at Dorsey's, Stediford's, or charge by phone at 1-800-383-5760. Najee, live in concert July 13th. Proceeds benefit Hosanna House, a place called Hope.
Get Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Yes, here she is, and here are some emails. Chris writes, Lynn, I have to ask, is this woman on the bus every day, or was this just a Friday the 13th special treat for everyone? No, I'd never seen her before. Because she got on the same bus stop I did. She was loudly telling everybody at the bus stop that, no, it's only supposed to get up to 84 today. I wouldn't have come out. There's no way I'm going to get on a bus if it's over 84. I thought, shut up! Shut up, you boring, stupid, loud woman. Shut up. Chris says, you had me laughing out loud. Well, I'm glad I did because I was getting a headache. I love your stories about riding the bus, waiting for the bus, the foreign woman trying to find the graduation. Oh, yeah. My friend from Bhutan. Keep it light today. Ha! Ha! You should have told me that earlier. Keep it light today. We need that after all the Penn State stuff, yeah. By the way, on Penn State, they are all delusional. Deny, deny, deny. Quit worrying about whether to take down the Paterno statue and start worrying about those poor boys that were victims. I hope they all go to jail, and then when they die, they burn in hell. Wow, Chris. One question I heard yesterday, do you think Sandusky would come clean? Radio stations yesterday were saying he should just to cleanse his... No. I mean, I don't think he's capable of it. I don't think he'll ever admit it because he's totally delusional, is what Chris writes. Yeah, just look at him. During the trial, he was always smiling. He lives in an alternate reality. Have a great weekend. Somehow that seemed like a non sequitur. Thank you. You have a great weekend, too. Yeah, there's something really creepy, and he's someplace else. But he was very much here, wasn't he, for all those boys? Wow. Ray's back. He says they didn't put all the air conditioning and heating and the fires on the 13th floor because that's the stuff that could blow you all up. And you wouldn't want it on the... So you mean even industrial engineers are superstitious? That doesn't seem... It would seem an engineer should be a man or a woman of reason, of numbers and science and angles and physics and superstition. What is the right word for Friday the 13th fear? Something triskaidekaphobia?
That's it.
Triskaidekaphobia? I know it be phobia, but I don't know. Tasket. Triska. Yeah, spell it. TR?
No, FR.
FR?
FRIGGATRISKAIDE.
All right, already, stop.
K-A...
Frigard, Totter, what? So I wasn't. So what was I thinking of?
You were thinking of triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah, which is what?
The fear of threes.
Fear of threes?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
And the Frigga, I guess.
Can you imagine?
The Norse goddess from Friday.
There are so many ways to be fucked up. I mean, fear of threes. Wow. I once did a whole show on things that made you just like cringe. You know, like the proverbial chalk on a blackboard squeaking. Is that people just like go nuts? They just like, blah. It doesn't do anything to me. Nothing. Even, see, just going, that's just thinking about it. What drives me up a wall where I have to, the same chalk on a black, where I want to run screaming, is something that people do all the time and in my presence. So I have to like just, act normal and not react. And it is the folding of paper. Okay. Folding. I'm not going to do what fold the paper. You know, somebody's going to fold paper. And it's the person who then continues to, and then they take their nails. They take their nails and they run their nails over it again and again and again until I'm about ready to explode. It hurts me to hear that sound. I don't know why. A friend of mine has an odd one because she can't get rid of it. When you open, let's say, a new bottle of aspirin or Advil or Motrin or whatever, yeah, you get through one layer of stuff, and maybe there's plastic that you have to break off and get around it. Then you unscrew or manage by standing on your head and pushing, pulling the other way, and you unscrew it. And then there's this metal-y, aluminum foil-y seal, which you break through, and you're still not where you want to be because then there's this big wad of cotton batten. Is that the proper term for it? Cotton ball-y kind of thing. And so you can't really get to the pills until you reach in and grab that cotton and pull it out. My friend, if she thinks that anyone is going to do that in her presence, she literally will run screaming from the room. The sound, I'm not even so sure it's a sound. Does it make a sound? There's the sense of that cotton coming through the neck of the bottle that literally sends her careening out. So we all have these little things. Oh, okay. And I love this. When my sister was on Tuesday, we were saying not very flattering things about the Olympic uniforms that Ralph Lipschitz had come up with for the team, and how they looked vaguely. Susan and I both had this reaction to them. They looked just vaguely fascistic. Something about them. They just, and they definitely look preppy. They look so preppy. Can you imagine like one of those, crazy skateboarder kinds of guys with the hair flying, dressed like that? He'd look like an idiot. They're not all preppy people. Why do you have to look like Ralph Lauren's world? I mean, Lipschitz's world. He wanted to be Ralph Lauren. And so he's got that waspy look down more than anybody else. And he's a little Jew named Lipschitz. What a fucked up mentality is that? What was he thinking? He has polo players on his thing. What Jew plays polo? I ask you. Jews don't even like to ride horses, let alone bat balls around with mallets on them. And on top of it, what was he thinking? That a name like Ralph Lipschitz wouldn't make it? Huh? Wouldn't you? Is it so impossible to imagine somebody saying, "Oh, is that Lipschitz you're wearing?"
Not in his world.
No, I don't think any of us want to be a Lipschitz. I mean, it's just a bad name.
It's funny.
It's a funny name, Lipschitz. It's a horrifying name. And if you had that name, you would run. You would run. I would run. But sort of taking on that whole waspy thing is like, hey, did you see who's going to be at the Duquesne Club? My stomping grounds. You see who's going to be there next week? This won't shock you because this is a perfect fit. Yes. Mitt Romney. He's coming to town. He's not going to hang with us, and he's not going to eat cookies from Bethel Park or whatever that is. He's going straight to the Duquesne Club. It's a money drop. That's all. He's picking up some money. He was where, in Wyoming the other day with Dick Cheney, picking up money. Can you imagine that's how you get to be president of this country? You run around to the Hamptons, to Hollywood, to Duquesne clubs, and you pick up money, millions and millions. And the guy who picks up the most has the best shot, maybe, of being the president. That's a great system we've created. I'm surprised more countries don't follow our example. Okay, so anyway, back to Lipschitz. Did you see what happened? Harry Reid had a fit. Somebody told him, those Lipschitz, Loren, fascistic looking and green and the beret thing, everybody found something they hated about him. They're made in China. Well, Reid had a fit. Here's what he said. They should take all the outfits, put them in a big pile, and burn them. Woo! You think of Harry Reid as sort of this milquetoasty guy. He got worked up. And that's it. The fact of the matter is most countries do support their Olympic teams. So the governments of the, taxpayers pay for Olympic teams and their everything, their training, blah, blah, blah. We do not. I guess we're maybe one of the few countries, if the only country, that doesn't. And so it's all done through private funds. And, when you're spending your own money like that, I guess you go for the best deal, and the best deal's in China. Or that's where Ralph Lauren must get all his stuff made. He must have just gone right to the Lauren factory. And anyway, the U.S. Olympic team committee put out a statement saying, "We are proud of our partnership with Ralph Lipschitz. Lauren, an iconic American company." Well, what makes it an American company if the product is being made in China? How can you be an iconic American company? It's iconically American only in that it is run by a Jew named Lipschitz, masquerading as a wasp named Lauren. And that is quintessentially American. That only in America can a Lipschitz become a Ralph Lauren. That's true. Only in America. The American dream. All right. I think that's it. I really think that's it. Guys, I always hate to say this because I think if you're listening, you probably enjoy this little hour. But Jess and I are taking a long weekend. Yes, we are. And we will return on Wednesday. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, my God, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Did you see it blew my headphones off? Good work there on the mic. In all my years in broadcasting, and now I won't be able to say it. Well, I can. I never sneezed on the air before. For some reason, there's some kind of a thing that keeps you from sneezing on the air, and I think I just broke that, 35-year record. I just sneezed on the air, although you didn't hear it because Jess was quick on the knob. Anyway, so we're taking a bit of a break, and we'll return on Wednesday. We're doing a short week next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that's Pata and Sokolowski and yours truly, and really looking forward to that. But I need a break. I need a break. I have to clean my closet, and Jess has to pack. Yeah. Okay. So have a good weekend, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.